question from Abby in the group, and her question is, how do you do Kegels correctly, and are they even worth doing?
Okay. So Kegels are pelvic floor contractions. And any muscle that contracts, or I guess the easiest way of thinking about it, if you contract your biceps, you do so by bringing your arm closer to your shoulder. So you're shortening the muscle, right? You could also contract the muscle in the totally opposite way by lengthening it, but now you're doing so against resistance, so you're still using the muscle. So your pelvic floor muscle contractions are a little bit different because you can't move your leg in order to do a contraction. So your pelvic floor muscles fall between four corners. So they fall from front to back. It's your pubic bone in the front, your tailbone in the back, your sits bones on the left and the right. In between those four corners are your pelvic floor muscles. It's really tough to move those bones because they're fixed. So in order to do that, you have to have really good awareness of your pelvic floor muscles, and they sit like a hammock. So when they do contract, that it moves upwards, right? So it's like you're pulling it from the center and moving it upwards. So I always like to teach them with the breath because they move naturally with the breath. So I always teach to do Kegels on an exhale. So as you inhale, you exhale, and you slowly try to draw those muscles closer, tighter, and more upwards towards your head. So there's two actions to a Kegel. People just think, oh, just squeeze everything, but it's actually a squeeze and a lift.
Right.
So it's a closing off the sphincters, the external sphincters around the anus and the vagina and the urethra. So you close them off, and then you lift everything up. So that's the pelvic floor contraction. But people always forget the second part of the relaxing. You have to let it go.
Right, because if you walk around with your bicep like this all the time, the muscle's going to spasm.
Exactly, it's going to be in spasm and shorten, and when you want to lengthen it, it's not going to be able to because it's now learned that this is the new length. So a pelvic floor contraction or a Kegel is very important to do the contraction, but then you have to let it go and allow it to relax. And pelvic floor muscles are notorious for remaining in spasm.
So the pelvic floor can be tight.
Absolutely.
Very tight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we think about like the pelvic floor as being constantly like relaxed or loose, but it can also be tight too.
Yeah, I mean, they're always working. Your pelvic floor muscles are always working. Your biceps aren't always working unless you use them, but your pelvic floor muscles are always working because you have organs there that they need to support all the time. And then there's urine or feces, and you have to control that. I mean, when you learned how to have bowel and bladder control, you learned how to use those muscles so that you can turn off the need to actually, or delay the need to actually go to the bathroom. So you're always using those muscles. You're always using them, which is why it's just as important to learn how to relax them at some point. Not everyone can benefit from doing a Kegel. If your muscles are already tight and in spasm, doing a Kegel or a contraction is only going to exacerbate the muscle spasm. In that case, you want to actually focus more on relaxing and lengthening the muscle. So Kegels are not good for everyone.
That's a really important thing to know.
Absolutely.
Because they're given to almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
Which is not appropriate, right?
It is not appropriate. Yes, correct.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Let us know if you have more questions. That was on Kegels, and we'll see more of Kenael soon.